What's up, everybody? My name is SuperSkuj. I'm going to be doing some commentary for you today for these races. Sorry, I'm joining you a little bit late, just a few minutes. I'll start off by introducing our racers that we have for you today. This is two separate races going on, broadcast at the same time during our weekly race. First race we have is RPG versus Xanadu. That's a very closely seeded race. Actually, the 16th seed and the 17th seed in the tournament going up against each other. Their PBs are only about a minute apart, so we should expect a very close race between them. RPG has been a little bit more active recently than Xanadu, I believe, but you never know what to expect from RPG, so I think that that's anybody's race. But should be a good one anyway. And the other race I believe we're showing is Helge versus Barnowl. Helge is also known as Poor Little Pinkus on Twitch. I'll probably refer to him as Pinkus a lot because that's kind of how we refer to him when we're talking to him. That's not quite as close of a race. Helge is a very high seed, 6th rated in the tournament, and he's actually improved his PB significantly since the seeding. So he's actually higher ranked than that even on the leaderboards now. And his opponent is Barnowl. Barnowl is very well known in speedrunning. He's ran hundreds, if not thousands, of games in his time. I believe he still has the most races on SRL total of anybody. So you've probably heard of Barnowl. Well, he has played many games. I know Link to the Past is one of, if not his favorite games to play. And he's been improving a lot lately as well. But unfortunately, that's a tough break, a tough matchup. Pinkus is incredibly good at this game, and I think that's going to be a tough one.
Hey, Scud, it's Blue Viper. I'm here as well.
Hey, Blue Viper.
Sorry, I joined a little bit late, too.
It's all good. Blue Viper will be joining me for co-commentary. I believe this is your first tournament race that you're going to be commentating, right?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
So I'm a little nervous, I won't lie, but I'm sure it'll be just fine.
Yeah, so right off the bat, we see one player, RPG, skipping the Sanctuary Heart. No surprise there. He has been known to criticize people for taking it. It's kind of funny, when RPG first started playing, he actually used to split after Escape when he collected the Sanctuary Heart. So he had to change his splits when he stopped collecting it. He also dropped the Sanctuary Heart before he dropped other safeties like the Magic Powder, which is very uncommon. He just decided he wanted to be unique and do that, and he suffered for it, honestly. He went through a really hard time where he died a lot, in the early game, like on the way to Eastern, a lot. But he kept playing, I got to give him a lot of credit for not just either compromising on his own standards or giving up entirely. And it made him a stronger player because of it. So while I wouldn't recommend it, in his case, it was actually a beneficial decision overall.
Yeah, I'm still getting Thank Heart myself, as a lot of people do. It's a short time to get it, but it helps quite a bit in the later part of the game where you have to take intentional damage. So definitely. It's an easy one to kind of keep around without much cost.
Yeah, so all of our players are in the Eastern Palace now. First real dungeon. Of course, the escape segment is technically a dungeon. We usually think of this one as the first dungeon. Nothing really crazy going on. They're all in good health still, even RPG, despite not having the extra heart. Coming up on the big key skip. You have to take an intentional heart and a half of damage here. RPG, wow, walked through the anti-fears after taking the damage boost, so he could have taken an extra heart of damage if he'd been a little bit slower, but luckily he didn't, because that would have been just enough to kill him. Clean big key skip for Pinkus and Xanadu as well.
Yeah, this is one of the first areas, for me at least, where Thank Heart came into play quite a bit, because I used to take a lot of damage here.
Yeah.
Once you get used to it, it's not so bad, but it certainly made it feel a lot more comfortable for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, the minimum intended damage you take is 1.5 hearts, or 2 if you do a slightly easier version. So having 3 hearts maximum can actually put you in a pretty precarious position if you take any unintentional damage. Barnowl had a little more trouble with it. He didn't step on the switch right away, so he had to take 1 extra heart. If he didn't have the Sanctuary Heart, that would have been just enough to kill him. So you can already see that it has benefited him.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big loss. You have to go back through everything. You can't really skip anything. Once you get the big key, you can skip that whole right half and go right
this
to
dungeon,
the chest.
This dungeon kind of has a big loop-de-loop that you have to do to get the big key and then come back around to a room where you were already. So if you already have the big key and you have to redo the dungeon, then you can skip the loop-de-loop. But if you haven't gotten the big key yet, then you have to redo all of it. Most players making their way into Armos now. I think everybody's going to do top right except Barnowl. Very clean from the 3 who have completed it so far. Barnowl does a bottom right strat. He actually doesn't do a quick kill here. I mean, it's not like a slow kill or anything, but he doesn't prevent the final Armos from turning red and re-healing. I think he just never learned how to do it. Still works okay for him. He cleans it up just fine. 6 arrows remaining. Actually, the most of any player, despite using a few extra on that fight. It's kind of surprising. But still good for him.
That's one fight that looks a lot easier than it can be when you start getting the quick kill. Any of the strategies are pretty easy if you don't go for that quick kill on that last one. But it requires quite a bit of timing and hope that you don't get hit to get that, to prevent that guy from turning red, which refills all of his health. So it takes another 3 arrows no matter how many you've gotten into him before that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. The discrepancy in the rupee routes are going to be apparent here. We see RPG going for the Sahasrara rupees, most likely so that he could execute as many chest turns as possible, which he did there. Got a few of them. Barnowl also is going to get the Sahasrara rupees for a different reason, though. That's just because he's a more old school player and has not learned the new rupee route yet. The other 2 players are experienced enough to have to know how to do the new rupee route. And don't care so much about chest turns, because chest turns aren't really beneficial aside from their swag value.
How much time does the rupee route save over the Sahasrara rupees?
It's partly dependent on how many rupees you get from drops from enemies, but the estimate is around 4 to 5 seconds.
So that's fairly significant for the lower times then.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty big. That's one of the most significant time saves that we've found in recent years, really.
Yeah, I mostly still get that myself, but I also do it because of the bombs that you get there, because I still am not comfortable with just 1 bomb in Hera for that bomb jump. I've fallen a few too many times. Yeah,
getting those bombs can make you more comfortable with a bomb route for the entire run, but they can also be used on Lamolas. An extra Lamolas cycle would actually take more time than the rupee route actually saves, the new rupee route. So if using bombs on Lamolas saves you, 1 cycle on average, then it could actually be worth it to get the old rupees for that reason alone. And you'd still have 1 extra going into Hera, as you mentioned, so you'd have more comfort there.
I've never had luck with that bomb strat for Lamolas. I've never been able to get it positioned right, so I just started off with the arrows.
It's a whole new thing you have to learn. The timing actually and positioning actually have to be pretty precise to get the maximum benefit from them. All right, looks like 3 of our players are coming into or are in Desert Palace at this point. Pinkus has the lead, pretty significant lead over Barnowl. As I said, the seed differential was pretty significant there, so that's not too surprising. Looks like Xanadu has a little advantage over RPG right now. Not too significant, but we can of course attribute that mostly to the variation in the rupee route. Xanadu would have gained, since RPG did get the bombs as well as the rupees, he would have gained about 11 or 12 seconds up to this point, but we'll be losing 5 or 6 later when he gets his rupees later.
Not a lot of trouble with the cannonball room so far. It's good.
RPG with the alerts still enabled. Shout out to Tupac. The cannonball room is one of the few big sources of RNG in this dungeon, because there's so few. You know, to say that's one of the bigger ones feels kind of weird, because really it's just, you know, you either have to stop your dash or you don't. It's very simple. But this dungeon has very little RNG until the boss fight.
Yeah, from a running perspective, I find this one almost one of the more boring dungeons because there's just not that much to do except dash around.
Yeah, for sure. Even in practice, I don't feel like I need to really practice any individual rooms very much. It's just like a dungeon that I can run through in its entirety a handful of times and actually feel like I've gotten a good amount of practice doing so, with the very few exceptions.
Yeah, the boss fight is one of them. The one thing that dungeon does show off, though, is the key dash.
Yeah.
Which there's not many of those in this game, really, except for in the light world that I can think of. There's the 2 in desert. We've seen a couple of them already. And then there's one in Aghanim's Tower, maybe 2, depending on if you get the key from the blue guard at the right spot.
Right. There's a handful of others. Some there are no lineup for, and if you get them, you're either lucky or you can, you know, visually see that you're on a good pixel without using a physical lineup, and that's, you know, that's something very few players can really do. Huggy's in Lemmolas right now. Pretty solid first cycle from him. You want to get 5 or 6 arrows total on the first cycle. Ooh, got a little synchronized on the second phase and got hit, so he was not able to really do much about them. Having a lot more luck on the third phase, nearly cleaning it up. Probably will finish it on the fourth. Xanadu, also in the fight, as is RPG. Pinkus did clean his fight up pretty quickly. Xanadu nearly did as well. I think he just has like 1 hit left on that last worm.
And down he goes.
RPG's going to be finishing it up soon as well. A lot of arrows expended for RPG there. Pinkus is also a little low on arrows, but I think he went into the fight with less. Yeah, really tough cleanup for RPG there. Barnow's entering the fight now. Gets the Sahasra rupees, but not the bombs, so he doesn't have them to use. Ooh, really solid first cycle for him.
Looks like Xanadu's on PB pace a little bit now with that Lamola's fight.
Yeah, that can really make or break a good light world, honestly, the Lamola's fight. Just because it's cycle based, so, you know, missing you know, 1 extra cycle is a handful of extra seconds, no matter what. So just a couple extra cycles and, you know, you got 10 seconds lost just like that, or a couple cycles less than your PB and you're, you know, saving, you know, 10 seconds. It's a bit of a rough fight for Barnowl. I think nerves may have gotten to him a little bit because some of his movements were a little bit awkward. I know that that's a concern for a lot of players in this tournament. You know, there's been some nerve-induced mistakes for sure.
Looks like
RPG almost got hit by a crab going into fake flippers. That's really rare to see, but when he comes up to you from behind, they move really fast, and while you're doing a setup, you can't really stop your setup to deal with them, or you have to redo the whole setup. So you kind of want to just kind of go all in and hope that you don't get hit. I believe all 3 players other than Barnowl did fake flippers. Sorry, I'm interrupting
you. I was going to say the same thing. Barnowl being the only runner today skipping the fake flippers.
Yeah, that's not really a bad choice in a race. There's, of course, a risk of soft locking when you do fake flippers.
And it really only cost like 6 or something seconds, right, to go this route instead?
It's much less than you would think. It's about 6 to 8 seconds.
Yeah, so for races, it's a really safe choice and very understandable.
Xanadu is having a really hard time with Death Mountain. Down to 1 heart. Pinkus got hit a couple times, but only lost 2 hearts. He does have the Sanctuary Heart, so he still has 4. RPG got hit once and is also down to 4 because he doesn't have the Sanctuary Heart. But Xanadu got hit 5 times. The Sanctuary Heart, as I'll mention again, did save his life here. He would have died otherwise. But that's going to really affect his decision making in Hera. everything that he does is going to have to be a little bit more careful, or possibly even take a death warp, which will warp him back to the beginning of the dungeon and refill some of his hearts. That is legal because it emulates a mirror warp, technically, not a save warp.
There he is with the
Let's
death warp.
Yeah,
Probably
he does
a
opt
smart
to do that.
choice. With the tile
Not too
run coming
surprising.
up, you don't want to die at the end of that.
Pinkus is trying to do the boom dash, having some trouble with it. He actually did the boom dash successfully, but was standing in the wrong spot, so the boomerang actually didn't hit the switch. Tries it again and does nail it. We'll see if RPG tries. RPG or Xanadu try it. Oh no, RPG's opting to use an arrow there. Being low on arrows, I really wouldn't advise that. It's an extra menu as well. Although I guess if you don't switch to the boomerang at all, it's not an extra menu, but you are losing some time in the lobby if you do that. It's not something I would advise if you're really thinking about playing optimally. If you just want a little extra safety and comfort in this room, it's not a terrible choice. But again, if you're low on arrows, I still wouldn't recommend it. Xanadu not trying the boom dash. He's just playing it safe. Again, if you don't do the boom dash, you're still pretty able to be safe in that room without standing on those pegs pretty easily, which is why I don't really recommend using the bow and arrow even for safety, because it really doesn't make much of a difference if you're just if you don't goof around too much in that room. Nothing should go wrong. Anyway, Pinkus is making his way to the bomb jump now, doing a couple poke dashes on the Molten. That's cute. That's a fun way to deal with some enemies. Easy bomb jump for him. Very skilled and experienced player. He should have very little trouble with common tricks like that. The Kadongo there was really out of position. It actually got below him there. That's incredibly rare. Actually, I don't know if I've seen that before. It wasn't consequential anyway, just kind of uncommon.
Yeah, it's very common for one of them to be in the top where you have to go left through those barriers and shoot fire at you. If you know about it, you can kind of poke your way through the barrier so you don't get hit by the fire, so it doesn't really slow you down, but not everybody knows about it, so you'll see a lot of people just waiting for it. Yeah,
in fact, RPG had the fire block him there and was able to clip through the rail to get through it. Yeah, the fire does one full heart of damage, so if you're even down to one heart, it's kind of scary to have to think to do that. I'm sorry, that was Xanadu who did it, right? Not RPG. Or maybe it was RPG. Sorry, I got a little confused for a second.
I did too. I missed it. So.
But yeah, both of them are in Moldorm now. Both had good bomb jumps. Pinkus has cleaned up Moldorm without any falls or anything. Barnowl is making his way to the bomb jump. Meanwhile, no trouble for him, opting to stand in one of the top 2 pixels instead of bonking to increase the range of the bomb jump. Maybe making it a little harder for himself, or maybe he's just aware of the pixels and chooses not to bonk if he happens to already be on one of them.
Yeah, a lot of this game is just knowing what works for you and just kind of going with it. So,
yeah, for sure. RPG and Xanadu both finished up Moldorm cleanly. I believe RPG has a small lead now. He made up some of the time that he lost getting the rupees early, and he's going to gain a little more time in this segment because of the difference in the rupee route, as I mentioned earlier. Xanadu will be collecting his rupees at this point. Helge is a little bit ahead of everybody in the middle of his rupee route and on the way to the Master Sword himself, and Barnowl is cleaning up Moldorm. Really good fight from him.
Yeah, this was a good round of Moldorm for everybody. Nobody seemed to fall that I saw, so it was pretty solid. Hera, really, except for the death warp that we saw from Barnowl.
Yeah, that's a dungeon where a lot can go wrong. Because you can fall down multiple levels from some mistakes in the dungeon and have to climb all the way back up. Some time lost from small mistakes can actually be pretty significant. Oh my god, RPG's... Oh no, RPG's going to gamble for rupees. This is a theoretical rupee route where you spend 100 rupees for a 1 in 3 chance to get the 300 that you need. And he got it! Oh my god.
Good job.
That is actually technically faster than the new rupee route. He's still going to get one of the 300 chests after Thieves Town, but that'll actually save him a couple seconds overall. Aside from the goofing around, that's really funny to see. That's actually been in the past before.
Actually.
Dang, I know he used to joke about doing that. All right, looks like Pinkus got all the rupees he needs now. No troubles with the rupee route. Xanadu will be just finishing up his rupee route in a minute. At least this segment of the rupee route.
One interesting thing about when you get the Master Sword and you got the Sahasrara bombs, if you don't use the Rupee route, you probably have the bombs equipped still from the bomb jump. So you have to be kind of careful with the button mashing so you don't place a bomb right on the sword after you've finished off the text.
Yeah. Normally you'd run out of bombs, and when you run out of that item specifically, it clears the spot in your inventory, and it'll auto-equip the next item, which in this case I believe is the lantern. Most people are going to switch to either the boomerang or the bow and arrow for Aghanim's Tower. We can see RPG is the only one who switched to the boomerang. Being completely out of arrows at this point, that's really the only decision. Obviously, you can't use arrows if you don't have any, but all the other players are going to be using arrows in Aghanim's Tower. RPG's getting even more rupees from trees. I'm actually a little confused at this point at what he's planning on doing. So I don't think he needs those. Because he had, how does he have 486 rupees? I think he did like the old rupee route and the new rupee route and gambled. And the backup rupees. That's a ridiculous amount of rupees. I'm not sure what he's planning on purchasing in this race, but I guess we'll find out later. Yeah, every player's in Aghanim's Tower now. Barnowl just getting in here. Only a little bit behind RPG now, because RPG's been doing some very unusual stuff leading up to this point.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just trying to find a different route for the flippers money, or if he's thinking about going gold sword, or maybe he has something else planned. I don't know. I'm curious to find out.
Well, there are a lot of alternatives to the rupee route that are just have a few second variants. Some that involve getting a lot of tree rupees, you know, instead of one of the chests after Thieves Town, which is what you would do in low percent because you can't get one of the chests after Thieves Town, but it ends up being only a couple seconds slower anyway. The gamble that he did would actually replace the rupee trees and one of the chests in Thieves Town. So that's what I thought he was going to do. That's obviously not ideal, even though it's a couple seconds faster because there's a 2 in 3 chance that, you know, you just have to stop at that point, reset your run, or improvise in some way. Maybe all the backup stuff he did was in case he lost the gamble, but he just decided to do both anyway. Really not sure.
Yeah, one common backup if you don't get the tree rupees like you plan is on your way to Palace of Darkness, you can mirror and go into Sahasrara's house and get those rupees anyway, which is a great thing to keep in mind if you're kind of just learning the tree rupee route.
Yeah, it's not a great option, but if you really need rupees, it's pretty much the only good option. So I think if RPG did do this dungeon completely damageless, he will be able to pull the statue at the bottom of the pyramid and get red rupees for 80 more, and that'll be almost enough to not have to get either chest after Thieves Town. He'll just need a handful from drops. Actually, he'll be at 570, and you need 620. So we need 50 from some other option before he needs to get the flippers. Looks like nearly all players are actually going to end up in the Aghanim fight at the same time. Pinkus just finished it, and Barnowl's just entering it. But that means they're all within just a couple minutes of each other at this point.
Yeah, not seeing a lot of blue balls right now. It's pretty lucky. Saw one from Xanadu just a moment ago. Kind of not watching any one of them enough to know how many any one of them has gotten, though.
Xanadu killed him just now before the second lightning. It had to be 1 or 2. I think Pinkus had 1 maybe because he lost, or he gained a little bit of time on his PB, which I think had 2. Not sure about RPG. Honestly, I'm mostly just been distracted by whatever RPG is doing. Been rolling way too deep in this race for me to pay attention to anybody else.
All right, and Barnowl's done with Aghanim. So
Yeah,
that puts
not too
everybody
far
in the
behind.
world.
Okay, Pinkus is making, or is entering Palace of Darkness now. Xanadu is making his way over there. And
opting
not getting any more rupees. He may have taken damage in the dungeon actually and healed. I just noticed that he ended with full hearts. But we'll see what he chooses to do anyway.
So RPG is the only one in position to get hit with the monkey and have to repay if he has to. Everybody else will have to find some rupees somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully none of them have to do that anyway. Xanadu is just about to enter the dungeon. RPG not too far behind. Remember, Xanadu and RPG are actually racing directly against each other, and Pinkus and Barnowl are racing against each other. RPG is going to be able to save about 17 seconds after Thieves Town if he skips one of the chests. So keep in mind that any disadvantage smaller than that will actually be made up as soon as they're both done with Thieves Town.
Pinkus on his way to the hammer jump, right? Or did he just finish that?
I believe he's about to make his way there now. He still had full hearts.
Easily one of the hardest jumps in the game.
Yeah, but a good player like Pinkus will make it look easy. No unnecessary menu buffers at all. Means just no like time loss at all.
There's a few different methods. You can do 2 bombs, 1 bomb. You can use your sword to help you get your placement.
Yeah.
The wall on the left side. There's a lot of different methods to do it, but it all comes out to the same position.
Yeah. You can collect both bombs at the beginning of the room, which gives you less time to set the bomb for the jump. But that is one of the fastest bombs to collect in the game. So if you do that, you can skip a pickup later. That might cost maybe 20 frames more.
Barnowl out of bombs, but he should be able to get the one in that room. So he should be okay as long as he... well, he's going to need 2 bombs, so he's going to have to get both of them. And hope he gets the jump on the first try.
Yeah, he didn't pick up the bombs from Sahasrala when he got the rupees, and I don't think he picked up the one after the bomb jump in Hera. I think that's definitely one he should add to his route because that one doesn't take much time at all. Xanadu just finished up his bomb jump.
Barnowl's
skipping RPG the as well
in the second room.
Barnow's actually going to forego the bomb jump here, I believe.
Yep, going downstairs for the key.
Yeah, so his bomb route is actually a little more lenient because of that. You still have to use some because you have to open up the wall to get the hammer at all, but he doesn't have to do the jump, so he'll save at least 1 there.
It also puts him in a position to get some more rupees if he's going for gold sword, or even just to help with some of the rupees in the town.
Yeah, I believe he does still do the gold sword route. That's why he only got 100 from the basement, because he'll still need to get both rupee chests after Thieves Town in order to have enough for all the other purchases. If he wasn't going to get the gold sword, he could get 210 from the basement and skip one of the chests after Thieves Town. but I believe he does get the gold sword. Pinkus with a clean helmet sword fight. No surprises there. As I said earlier, he is a very experienced and very good player.
Xanadu and RPG both getting ready to go into the turtle room.
Yeah, Xanadu's actually down a couple hearts at this point. He has to do a couple extra menus because he can't use sword beams to his advantage. Kind of rough turtles from Xanadu. That actually is enough for RPG to get back ahead.
RPG had a very clean room. Neither one of them taking damage, though, which is good.
Yeah, actually, at 5 and 6 hearts between them, they can actually take the same amount of hits from Helmsaur because his attacks do 2 hearts of damage each. So there's no real difference between those heart values at this point. If RPG had taken 1 heart of damage, it wouldn't make a difference. But for Xanadu, if he'd taken only 1 heart of damage compared to 0, it would have been a difference. It looks like they're both going to do fine. Falling back to slashes because it's a little easier and a little safer, although optimally a little bit slower. If you can't do the optimal way very well, you're probably not actually going to save time trying to hammer him anyway. So they both got through it okay. Barnowl trailing a little bit behind the others, making his way to the turtle room now. Like a lot of areas in the game, Barnowl kind of has his own way of doing that room. He's actually a player who does a lot of things very uniquely compared to other players.
But getting through the room cleanly, so that's good. That room can make or break the Helmsaur fight. If you take too much damage there, you're almost set up to fail at the Helmsaur fight if you're not very careful or don't have good RNG.
Yeah, the turtle room is one that can fall apart very quickly. When you have turtles flipping and unflipping all around you in seemingly random directions, it can get out of hand very easily. Barnowl used arrows on Helmsaur. You don't see that too often. That was a little more common back in the day, and Japanese players, I think, you'll see doing that a little more often. If you have enough arrows up to this point, which means you might have to pick up a few extras, or not use too many in Agnum's Tower at least, then that's not a bad option at all. It affords you some extra safety of not having to get into Helmsaur's face while he's throwing fireballs, or while he's potentially jumping around the room kind of erratically. No deaths to Helmsaur, that's always good to see, considering most safety items are collected right after Helmsaur. That and the fact that he's just a pretty dangerous boss make him a pretty scary point in the run. Definitely a high possibility for deaths from a lot of players there.
Hera and Palace of Darkness are 2 major run killers for newer runners. Both very difficult to get through without taking a lot of damage, and both having their major setbacks if you have some trouble in a few spots.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, we can sort of identify the closeness of all 4 players by the fact that they're all in the overworld segment between the same 2 dungeons. No more than a couple minutes between them.
Barnowl was the only one we saw get the mushroom, right?
I believe so, yes.
So
all other players,
powder.
Yeah, all other players have a PB below 1 hour and 30 minutes, and it's pretty uncommon for players to continue to get the powder after that point. I only know of a few players who have actually kept the powder or any safeties until they had a sub 130. And usually they drop them immediately afterwards, with the exception, of course, of the Sanctuary Heart.
RPG and Xanadu getting the bird at the same time.
Yeah, very close race still between them. Despite all the weird stuff RPG has done, he's managed to keep it close. And again, he will have a little bit of a time save available after the next dungeon. So if it stays close up to that point, he'll gain an advantage at that point. Oh, Pinkus coming into the Hellway had a little bit of a rough start. 2 hearts of damage isn't so bad. This isn't really a dungeon where the threat of dying is significant for an experienced player, mostly because the boss fight is very consistent, and most other rooms don't really throw too many dangerous hazards at you, as long as you don't lose your concentration. The Hellway can be a point for the most significant time and heart loss in this dungeon. So 2 hearts and a pretty clean dash through the bulk of the room is not so bad at all. Should be okay completing the rest of this dungeon. Barnowl is collecting some safety items now. I believe he gets 1 bottle and a net and the powder, and he will get the gold sword later.
So Pinkus had some trouble with the Hellway, not much, but a little. So let's see how RPG and Xanadu are going to do here soon. So the Hellway has a dash that you can get, but it's a single pixel perfect placement. And then when you start that dash, you have to hope that the RNG is sufficient so that you don't get hit all the way up. The
RPG got some bad RNG there. You got through it pretty well. Xanadu having a little bit more trouble. Eventually getting through, took a little more damage. Pinkus is in the blind fight now. As I said, this is pretty consistent, not too dangerous for experienced players. So hopefully he doesn't prove me wrong, or hopefully I didn't curse him by saying that.
Yeah, the good thing with this fight being scripted is if you do the same thing every time, you should get the same results.
Yeah.
The problem with it, though, is that you can practice that same thing and get it, but then during a run, if you miss something, you might get a pattern that you're not used to, and it could kill you or at least slow you down a little bit.
Yeah, when the fight goes off script, it's really hard to improvise. So it actually is worthwhile when you practice and you're first learning it to try to finish every fight. If it goes wrong, if it goes off script, don't just restart the fight and try to do it correctly the next time. Try to clean it up, because that experience will be valuable to you in a run at some point. Not being comfortable with something is one of the biggest reasons you're gonna mess it up. Not just not knowing how to do it, but second guessing your decisions when you need to react very quickly is gonna throw you off, very much so. Xanadu's getting the fireball straight up the jail cell doors there. That's really unlucky to happen, because you can't get out without having to deal with that guy very carefully, as he did. So Pinkus finished up blind very carefully, or very cleanly. He actually was a handful of frames slow in the last hit, but that's just nitpicking.
We saw Pinkus get the first chest of the Rupee route for the flippers, and he'll get another one after he gets the tempered sword. RPG
first 2 phases of blind went well. If the first 2 phases go well, even if the third phase doesn't go perfectly, it's usually pretty easy to improvise from there. Like he got hit there. I was a little bit slow, but was able to clean it up just fine. He's pretty good at it. Xanadu, good first 2 phases as well, so he should have no trouble cleaning him up in the third phase. He took a hit in almost the exact same way that RPG did. Standing a little too far to the left when you get that second hit puts you in a dangerous spot in the corner where you can't really dodge what's coming at you. If you're a little bit farther to the right, you're a little more into the open space when you get your knockback, which puts you in a better position for the third hit, and also makes it easier not to get hit between the second and third hit on the third phase there.
Yep, Barnowl passed the Hellway. Looks like he had a little bit of trouble like everybody else did, but he was able to use the top spike to kind of bounce him damage boost through one of the Patrick stars, as they're affectionately known, to help him kind of get a little closer to that door. It's actually a pretty safe way to get through that if you get hit.
Yeah, using those spikes for damage boost is a really clever way to get through there in some circumstances. RPG just showed off the super speed after Thieves Town. The entrance to that dungeon is actually made of stairs, so you can activate super speed there. So he was able to skip the rupees, obviously, because of all the weird stuff that he did beforehand. So he was able to show off that swaggy super speed that you never see. That super speed compared to dashing, surprisingly, only saves a couple of frames. Because you stand still while you're charging the sword. So all the time spent charging the sword and spinning it is time lost compared to moving while you're doing those actions, obviously. But you also save one dash, and a little bit of lateral movement is changed to diagonal movement, which is, of course, a little more efficient. So that's going to give him a little more of an edge going into the Skull Woods dungeon, which is coming up, and which is where Pinkus already is. I got hit by a couple bones in the big key room. They only do a quarter heart of damage, but it is kind of annoying because they do affect your movement.
RPG just got the tempered sword. Let's see if he tries for the fence dash afterwards. I know he tried to restart it a couple of times.
I'm sure he will.
Last race.
In a previous race, he tried it several times until he got it. In a close race like this, I would hope he wouldn't try it so many times in order to get it. Now it looks like he's just going to try it once.
Good choice.
Yeah. He's going to take this race. Despite all the crazy stuff he's done so far, he is taking the race a little bit more seriously. Barnowl not getting the quick kill on blind. He's not going to want to, but he does have a fairy to use if he needs it. But I think, actually, this is a bad position. Looks like he might have been able to clean it up, but not quite. Blind moved to the bottom while he was trapped at the top, so he had to do a lot of dodges to get down there. Oh, he did not actually collect a fairy yet, so he's going to have to go back in and redo that fight. He can actually collect a fairy along the way if he feels like doing it, either to heal himself before the fight or to have it in the bottle in case of another death. See if he chooses to do that. It's actually going a little out of the way to get back to the fight.
That's an unusual round.
Yeah. He did get back there eventually.
He will get the heart, though.
He's picking up a heart, but he didn't get any other hearts or a fairy in the bottle to go into this fight. This is going to be really tough. Doing this fight from the bottom without sword beams, without any extra safety items is very tough. Even experienced players do not want to do this if they can avoid it. So he's going to be trying to clean up blind. Might take him more tries if he doesn't do it this time. While Pinkus is in the Maltula fight. Get a little bad RNG and he messed up the double hit at the beginning, but the RNG improved and he was able to finish it up. Meanwhile, Barnowl did not successfully complete the fight on his second try. I really hope he does opt to play it safe. He may actually forego completing this dungeon for now. Not a bad option. Definitely not something that I've never seen before. If you die to blind and you don't want to do the refight, do a different dungeon. Go do Skull Woods. Come back later. I think he might be going to get a fairy or something. I'm actually not sure at all what he's doing right now.
Getting some extra bombs. He's definitely set for bomb for the rest of the run if he doesn't miss too many of the bomb jumps. Actually, I guess there's only one left, isn't there? Nope, two because of Skull Woods.
He's getting the hearts from there. Wow, he must not know where to get hearts in Thieves Town. For the sake of races, he really should learn that. Not only that, but there's a bunny beam near the beginning of Thieves Town that you can use to create a fairy. It's right near the beginning. That's definitely something you should know about if you collect powder.
Yeah, not passing up the dungeon, opting to go back for blind again.
Yeah, this time with full hearts going into it. He hasn't
taken the same route though. Taking some damage on the way. Hopefully,
he hasn't skipped powder. Did he?
He did get powder that I saw.
I know he got the mushroom, but I don't actually remember seeing him get the powder. So if he did skip it, maybe he isn't able to use the anti-fairies in this dungeon, because even going out of your way to one of the more well-known anti-fairies is better than leaving the dungeon to get hearts like that. So maybe he was trying to get it at a later time when he thinks it's a little bit faster, like on the way to Quake or possibly after Skull Woods, when it would only be one extra flute instead of two. But yeah, with sword beams, it's a lot easier. He got through the first two phases without taking any damage, so he will probably be able to clean up the fight. He's actually doing a really good job of dodging this time. In fact, it looks like he's going to do a damage list with sword beams. That's That's a really
Oh, Xanadu.
impressive fight. It's unfortunate that he had to die a couple times in order to get to that point, but he was able to get through it. Xanadu actually just died on Mothula, and RPG has cleaned up Mothula. This is actually pretty bad for Xanadu because he's completely out of magic. He's going to have to collect some more in order to get through this this torch room in order to get back to the Mothula fight to try again. If not for this, the Mothula fight is one of the least costly deaths from the pure time loss to get back to the fight alone. Taking more damage from the mummies, they hit pretty hard. Hopefully that doesn't cause him too many problems when he does get back to the Mothula fight, because it can be pretty dangerous. Obviously, I mean, he did die once, so we can see that it is a dangerous fight.
Not getting a big magic drop from one of the mummies, but fortunately enough little magic to be able to use the lantern and get through that room safely.
Yeah, you really don't need a lot of magic to get through there if you use the lantern on 3 out of the 4 torches.
Just narrowly avoiding the hand. That was close.
Yeah. All right, we'll see how well he does this fight. Second time. Starting with the dash, as most players do. There's a chance for a double hit, of course, if you do that. Using the fire rod when he can't close the gap between him and the moth. The moth camping the top spikes like that is the worst thing that can happen. Flew down into the middle of the room twice for 2 easy hits, and that was enough to clean it up and finish the fight for him. So got through it fine the second time. He's going to be making his way to Ice Palace next, as RPG is now, and as Pinkus is nearly done doing. Pinkus took a couple hearts of damage on the overworld. I'm going to guess that was the Europa lottery there. There are a few Ropas that you're meant to dash through, and with very rare circumstances, they can actually knock you out of your dash for 2 hearts of damage. It's pretty rare, and it hurts bad when it happens. We call it a lottery because of how rare it is. Coming into this dungeon without full hearts is not ideal. You want sword beams, which you only have with full hearts. See, there's electrified jellies. He wasn't able to kill them. He had to wait till they stopped electrifying. If he had full hearts, he could use sword beam to kill them. And of course, having less hearts means that the risk of dying is increased. It is a potentially dangerous dungeon. At the very least, the boss is very dangerous. But hopefully he gets through it fine. He's a very good player, and I expect him to have a lot of confidence to get through here safely. There are a couple of heart pickups along the way if he doesn't take any intentional damage boosts. There are a couple that you take that save a good amount of time, and a couple that are more optional, small time saves. So he could actually end up near full hearts very shortly, actually.
Barnowl opting not to get half magic, which is common. It's not the most necessary safety, but for Cold Stare in Ice Palace, it's very helpful because if you miss that first, or any of the fire rods, really, it can set you up for a bad situation if you don't have sword beams, which not everybody knows that sword beams can actually help break the ice as well. Yeah,
that's actually a very scarcely known fact. Luckily, this tournament has actually, we've actually seen it a couple times, so that knowledge has been spread a little bit because of it. That's something that's been known for a very long time, I think. I have no idea where that was or who that was originally found by. I used it in a Taz once. Other than that, it has no real practical benefit in a speed run, except for swagger, or possibly if you run out of magic and you have the ability to heal, either with powder or backtracking a little bit to get a fairy.
Barnowl taking the mummy room very safely, boomeranging the mummies a couple of times, getting the statue way out of the way so he doesn't have the mummies get stuck by him at all.
Yeah, that's about as safe as you can take the room. And it paid off because he got through it cleanly. Pinkus is making his way to Cold Stare now. 3 hearts down total. It's not so bad. You could take 2 hits from the cotton and several from the small ice cubes that fall if the fight gets out of hand, which ideally it won't. He's a really good player. He practices this fight a lot. Well, he actually did mess up the quick kill a little bit, so he does have to be careful now. Opting for a poke dash there. Doing poke dashes, we saw him do it on a Moldorm earlier, so he does actually like to use them in improvisations. I don't have any problem with that at all, because especially in a case like this, you can poke dash to get slash damage while you're letting your sword charge. So you can actually charge up your sword and use that for protection if you get ambushed, if they come at you from behind, while using the poke dashes to deal with enemies in front of you. So the fight got a little out of hand, but wasn't too dangerous for him. He was able to survive it. At this point, RPG has actually gotten a pretty solid lead against Xanadu. The death to Moth, obviously, and a few other things have helped him increase his lead.
But certainly still close enough to where it's anybody's game right now.
Oh, yeah. Again, Cold Stare is one of the most dangerous boss fights. The great equalizer, really. RPG's coming into the Cold Stare fight now. Opting for the 6 after he gets him locked into the corner. Always a fine option. Down to 4 hearts though, so when he hit now would kill him from the puffs. Always scary when you have to chase down the puffs, especially when you start missing slashes, because they will come right at you. They'll hit you from half a tile away sometimes too. Barnowl's in Mothula at this point. He has full hearts, so he has the sword beams. Usually the sword beams hit Mothula instead of your sword when you slash him, even from close range, so that can be a bit frustrating, but he was able to finish the fight without actually taking any hearts of damage at all.
Xanadu missing the ice bomb jump there. So close. He almost had it, though. This is his last bomb, and he makes it.
Yeah, always scary when you get down to your last bomb, especially if you don't know how to hover. But even if you do, if you're failing multiple bomb jumps, like each time you fail and the bomb actually hits you, that's 2 hearts lost. If you fail twice, you're down 4 full hearts. If you try to hover, you fall, it's another heart. It can be very, very bad in that regard. I'm afraid maybe that nerves are playing a part here for Xanadu. I know he expressed some concern about being restreamed. I don't think he was too keen on the idea. So maybe that's actually affected him in this race.
Getting to Cold Stare pretty safely, though, so that's good. Hopefully he has a pretty safe fight, though. We'll see how the Puffs treat him today. And a very solid fight. Very quick kill with Cold Stare for Xanadu.
Yeah, I did the single poke dash. There's a handful of different options to get a quick kill on that boss. That one a lot of players feel is the perfect compromise between speed and consistency. The faster option is the 2 poke dash, which is very, very slightly faster, and a lot of players feel like it adds a significant enough amount of difficulty that it's not worth it for that small amount of time saved. So far, he's the only one that actually had a successful quick kill in that fight. And I believe we also saw 3 different attempted quick kills there. I believe RPG went for the 6 slash, Pinkus went for the double poke, and Xanadu for the single poke.
I don't usually see too many people go for the double poke. It's definitely not an easy strategy for it, because you have to perfectly time a dash so your sword stays out as the enemy takes the damage from your sword. Very tight timing on that.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, but with enough practice, it can be made very consistent. The way the movements work actually manipulate the falling ice in a way that some people find to make it even more consistent than 6 slash, at least specifically in regards to that element of the fight. Obviously, executing it is very difficult, so it does take a lot of practice. So very soon we're going to have 3 racers in Swamp Palace all at the same time. Pinkus, of course, with the lead still. RPG second of the 4 racers, but in the lead in his race against Xanadu. Xanadu has to drain the water before entering the dungeon. It's a cute little element of this game. It's the one area where something that happens in the light world affects the same screen in the dark world directly.
If Barnowl gets a pretty good Ice Palace, we might be able to see everybody in Mire at the same time, because Barnowl's going to go for Gold Sword most likely, which has usually a different route, because if you do Swamp after Mire, you can go right up to the Gold Sword because it's closer. And one of the requirements for the Super Bomb is to have Mire and Ice Palace completed.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Barnowl was set behind by the blind deaths. Pinkus is about to enter the Argus fight. He is one of the players, I believe, who will go for a 0 cycle here, which is takes advantage of a 1.0 glitch, which allows your sword to do slash damage while appearing to execute a poke. You have to put yourself in a glitch state at the beginning of the fight and then have very precise actions afterwards in order to remain in the glitch state. He nearly had it, but messed up right at the end. So we got what we call a fake 0 cycle, where you appear to kill all the puffs before the cyclone animation starts, but the timing of the cyclone animation still plays out. So you don't really save any time, but you don't lose any time either compared to just doing a standard slow kill.
Barnowl opting to pick up the bombs from the Stalfos Night Room.
Yeah, he seems to be really concerned about bombs.
Probably not a bad idea to play it safe for the tournament race, though, if you're not feeling confident about it, though.
Right. Looks like he's going to take a couple tries on the bomb jump here.
Yep, got it on the second one. Not bad. Pinkus opting not to use the fire rod on Argus, though. I actually expected him to.
Yeah, there's a quick kill that you can do in the second phase of Argus as well. To be honest, I kind of find that a little harder than the first phase quick kill, because the timing of it is so awkward. There's no real no good relative point of reference you can use to hit it very well. So you kind of have to have a good sense for how to do it. And I think that's a little harder than something that has a strong, visual cue or timing reference.
Yeah, I've actually never been able to get the first quick kill, the first cycle, I guess. But I've actually been able to get the fire rod start a few times by watching. So when he falls down, the water lands all around him on the ground, and as soon as it hits the ground, that is a good time to trigger the fire rod shots.
Right. And if you got a good position, he always moves the same after he lands. So if you stand in the same place, he'll always kind of do the same movement. You can contain him in some corners by taking advantage of the fact that he's going to kind of bounce against both sides of the corner, and kind of stay in a very contained area there.
Oh, Barnowl with the death at Cold Stare, unfortunately. But he had a fairy, so at least he doesn't have to start all over. Very smart to have that fairy there, because that's a big definitely. Time loss. And he's down.
Pinkus has done the last item collecting that he needs to for the run. He's going to make his way to Misery Mire now. This is where the end game really starts. He's got the last few very difficult dungeons to do, some boss fights that are very dangerous, and of course the final Ganon fight to close it all out.
There's a few different places to get Ice Palace or Ice Rod, because it doesn't really matter in terms of timing. So it'll be interesting to see where RPG and everybody else decides to get the Ice Rod compared to Pinkus deciding to get it right before Meyer. I know a lot of people like to get it right before Turtle Rock.
Looks like Xanadu actually got the 0 cycle there, but he got the fake 0 cycle as well. We'd have to stand around and wait for a long time. But he did get the quick kill in the second phase. So that must be a very well-practiced fight for him. That was very well executed. I think he just got unlucky for not getting the 0 cycle in the first phase.
Yeah, but very close, very clean fight, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Barnowl opting for the Ice Rod now before he goes to presumably Meyer.
Yeah, he has to at least get the other medallion before Meyer because it's obviously required to open it. But the Ice Rod timing could be more variant. Pinkus tried to be a little fancy with the Fire Rod dash against the Slug and Misery Mire. I believe Jaden did that in the God Taz and said it was a thing that works there, but if the Slug drops a bomb, the Fire Rod hits the bomb and the Slug stays alive. And you're dashing without your sword out, so you will hit the Slug if you continue your dash, so I do not recommend that in that situation. Oh, Barnowl did the bomb climb on Death Mountain. Wow. That is a 100% strat. You can actually get an increase in speed if you climb stairs with the super speed glitch state and carry an object, specifically the bomb or the Kinesamaria block. It's common in 100% because you come up Death Mountain at one point with the bombs already equipped. And with the bombs already equipped, without the extra menu, you're actually looking at a little over a full second save doing that. So with an extra menu, it's still a small time save if you have enough bombs that you can afford to use one for that. Definitely not something you see in a standard any percent NMG run, though. That's actually one of my finds. I'm pretty proud of that one. Nice to see somebody do it in the tournament.
Yeah, that's a fun one to watch because it's one you just don't expect. And you'll notice that they'll have the bombs and you'll wonder what they have it for, and all of a sudden they're shooting up that ladder. It's fun.
So Xanadu, I believe, is going to be fluting to... Well, he's going to get the Ice Rod first, and then he's going to make his way to Misery Mire. And as you said earlier, we are going to have a point when all of our racers are in Misery Mire at the same time. But again, it is a bit deceptive because Barnowl is doing the dungeons in a slightly different order, so he will be behind by one dungeon when they're all done with this one.
Barnowl not having too much trouble in Mire 2. Definitely a room that gives a lot of people a lot of trouble because it's a lot of very quick actions all at once to kill everybody in 1 or 2 Wizrobe cycles.
Yeah, Wizrobes are cycle-based enemies, so if you don't kill them in their first cycle, you have to wait for however much time it takes for them to fully respawn to get a second chance to kill them. So it's sort of a set time loss each time they have to despawn and respawn. RPG with the Rollin deep chest turn on the big key. Pinkus is in the Vitreous fight now. This is a dangerous fight because you have to intentionally take damage and get inside of these eyeball clusters, and the eyeballs will do 4 hearts of damage if they touch you when you're not in the state of invulnerability. That was an incredibly good fight from him, actually. I'm actually really impressed by that. He even tried to slash a few times to see if that eyeball was in range before using the arrow and still got the 0 lightning.
Yeah, that was a great fight. Not a lot of damage. If that goes wrong, though, it can really take away your health. All it takes is one eyeball coming out at you while you're trying to get into the poison to spin them, and it can completely mess up the fight if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah. He actually tried to slash that last eyeball since there was only one left. If he was within range to hit it, or if it moved towards him and he was able to kill it with 2 slashes, he would have been able to save 1 arrow in the fight. The difference between 11 and 12 arrows, he has 11 now. If he had 12, that actually wouldn't mean 1 less arrow pickup later. If it was the difference between 12 and 13, that would actually be a pretty significant difference, and really worth going for in that case. Because you could save almost a full second by skipping an arrow pickup later in order to get how many you need for the Armos refight in Ganon's Tower.
Barnowl with the powder dash to get the fairy right before the cane.
Very nice. This has been a very rolling deep race so far. We've seen some really cool stuff. The bomb climb and all the stuff from RPG. Powder dashes you don't see very often.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting fight. Race, not fight. But everybody doing a pretty good job all around. Nobody's really too far off of their normal times, because it's normal to be within a few minutes of your PB, and nobody's too far out of that I can tell. I don't know how far Barnowl is though, because of those blind deaths.
RPG got very close to getting hit by an eyeball there, and the lightning. The lightning wouldn't have killed him, but it would have been a shame to get such a far out arc like that hitting you. Couple lightning, not ideal, but still fine. 17 arrows. He's not going to have to pick up any extra drops before the ice armors fight. There's one free drop along the way that he'll get.
Pinkus coming up on the first of the difficult rooms in Turtle Rock. Right after the torch room, he's going to be in the roller room, which can be very difficult to get through if you don't get a hook shot at the right time, or there's a few other strategies to it. But he's getting through it without much trouble at all so far. Let's see how he goes out. Using the damage boost, he gets through there pretty painlessly.
Yeah. You take 3 hearts of damage from that roller, and that is intentional. It looks like a death from Barnowl. I guess that was on Vitreous. He got to the Vitreous fight a little bit before Xanadu is going to. Yeah, the fight's already done, I guess. Or the first phase is. He was just probably out of position to begin the second phase. But Pinkus should have a fairy coming up from prize pack manipulation he did earlier to compensate for those hearts he lost. Looks like he got 1 heart from a pokey because he was down 4 a minute ago and now down 3. The fairy is the second drop in that prize pack, followed by magic. So he's going to kill 3 more pokies and get, I believe, 8 drops between them, since it's 3 each, but one of them is going to be a key. So he would have to win 1 out of those 8 coin flips to get a fairy drop, and 2 to get the magic drop. And Xanadu taking the death on Vitreous. I know he does not have fairies because he did not collect the bottle at all. He actually fired his first arrow late. Oh, and Pinkus got the fairy drop, but he got the RNG where you can attempt a key dash to speed up that room, and he opted to go for the fast strat in the room instead of taking the fairy to heal. Honestly, that's probably a fine decision. The magic drop is actually the more important drop from that prize pack. I know for a lot of players the fairy is really significant, but it's actually the magic that's more impactful overall, I believe. The way I do the prize pack manipulation, I don't actually guarantee the fairy in Turtle Rock. I only guarantee the magic and increase the chances of the fairy. Ooh, got a poke on that first pokey. Kind of fun to say. Not what you want to do though, because it doesn't do good damage.
Barnowl getting to swamp here.
Yeah, Barnowl is entering the swamp dungeon, which is one that all 3 other racers have already completed. And RPG and Pinkus are both in Turtle Rock now. Xanadu has unfortunately fallen a little bit more behind because of that death to Vitreous. His opponent is, of course, RPG, so it's going to be hard to catch up at this point. It would really be RPG's race to lose, I think. RPG got a hard drop in the first pokey, which means he should have the fairy coming up next in that prize pack.
Chomp Room giving him a bit of trouble.
Yeah, he accidentally set the first block in a place where it hit the switches twice with a pretty big space in between them, so I think it surprised him when the second switch got hit. by the first block.
A very easy thing to be caught off guard by.
Yeah, definitely. Xanadu's making his way into his second try at Vitreous. Hopefully having better luck this time. Got some bad movements from the first few eyeballs there. They were in a position that's really dangerous. At 2 hearts, he needs to be careful not to accidentally stand in the lightning. It can extend out very far to the side sometimes. So even if you're pretty far to the side, it can hit you. But yeah, much cleaner fight the second time. Got through it, survived. Pinkus is in Trinex now, doing the backdoor Trinex strat. Some people say this is a little easier and more consistent. The reason for that is because it's faster and Trinex has less opportunities to give surprising movements if you do it from the backdoor. But your movements also have to be a little more precise. But when it's well practiced, I do think it's probably a little more consistent of an approach. Finishes up the first and second phase very cleanly. Got the perfect quick kill in the second phase. RPG just got his fairy drop and got his magic drop. So he's perfectly stocked on both of those resources going forward in this dungeon. With that, it would take a lot for him to have much trouble going forward. That gives him a lot of comfort moving forward in the dungeon.
And once Barnowl's done with Swamp Palace, they'll all be back on the same segment again after the Gold Sword deviation. But he still has a little bit of extra time added for going for that Gold Sword. But it might help him make up some time in the Ganon fight. And most likely will.
Yeah, definitely. So Xanadu is finishing up his last trek through Light World Death Mountain. So it's his last time he's going to have to interact with squirrels and boulders. It's kind of a relief. I know when you get into Turtle Rock's kind of a hard dungeon, so it doesn't really feel like a relief. But if you want to look at the silver lining, just remember that this is the last time you ever have to deal with squirrels. RPG coming into the Trinex fight very soon. Well, Xanadu is just entering the dungeon, so it looks like RPG is going to be finishing this dungeon right about the time that Xanadu enters it. RPG does the backdoor strat as well, same as Pinkus did. Got hit a little bit because he got an aggressive movement from Trinex, but he has so many hearts because of the fairy that he acquired earlier that he's fine. If you can get through the second phase, it would take a lot to really be a real problem. Yeah, he got hit again. 4 hearts of damage. Does take a lot of damage there. Didn't get the quick kill cleanly, but did finish the fight. Got through it alive, and that's all he really needs to do at this point. To keep his lead, he really just needs to not die.
Xanadu getting through the roller room pretty safely and opting for the mirror at the end instead of trying to exit safely as well. Not a big time loss at all. It's very close.
Just a few seconds. You don't have to damage boost on the way out. That would be 3 more hearts lost, which can be very scary in this dungeon.
Especially with the chain chomp room coming up. It's a very smart decision.
Yeah. Pinkus is entering the Armos refight, the first Light World refight in Ganon's Tower. I believe he does one of the faster variations of this fight. The difference between a fast and a slow variation are very subtle. You may not even notice them when you see the difference if you're not really familiar with the different fights there. Xanadu got his fairy right before the chomp room, so he was able to use the sword beam in the chain chomp room, which actually speeds up the room a little bit and does make it a little bit easier because you can use Link's mobility a little more to your advantage. Instead of having to stand, next to where you place the block to hit the switch, you can just stand directly below the switch. The sword beam does have a wide range, which means the position that you stand can be somewhat lenient, but it also means that if there's only a small clearance next to a chomp to hit the switch, that the sword beam can actually be blocked by the chomp. and that's obviously not ideal. Good mimics too for Pinkus. The first mimics room he had a little more trouble with, but he still got through it fine. He's pretty darn good at the mimics rooms, I gotta say. At least the second one. His first one is really good, but not quite on the level of his second mimics room. Again, I'm kind of nitpicking some very small mistakes from Pinkus just because he's such a good player. I think being overcritical of a good player is a sign of respect. As long as it's not petty.
Absolutely. He got through that spike room pretty cleanly, didn't get hit, got the dash both up and down without getting hit by any spikes.
Series of rooms he's in right now is what we call the gauntlet. He actually has a cute little thing he does in that room where he lines himself up with the pot to dash down the left conveyor without hitting the BMOS or getting influenced by the conveyor too much to get hit by the spikes. That's kind of a cute thing that I don't see very many players doing. If you happen to be in the top left of the room, that's a great way to get back down to the bottom easily to get to the door after all the enemies are dead. Using the fire rod for the Lamola's refight because it's very strong, much stronger than the arrow, which is equal strength to a tempered sword slash. It's common to use a combination of a tempered sword spin and fire rod shots to kill the Lamolas. One cycle is the best you can really do. Obviously, you can't kill them before they spawn.
So Barnowl went for the bomb skip, if you will, for the super bomb, where if you transition at the same time as the bomb is about to blow up, it'll warp to you. Got blocked by a skull under a bush, but was able to use the warp to get it to warp, the mirror to get it to warp to him anyway. So nice recovery there.
But she's actually done pretty well in this race. I feel like a lot of the time loss was to kind of goofing around, honestly. But he's in Ganon's tower, not too far behind Pinkus. About half the dungeon, I'd say. He's doing mimics now, will make his way through the gauntlet to the Lamola's refight. Xanadu also doing the backdoor try next, very common against amongst experienced players. Had a good first phase. He has enough hearts that he doesn't really have to worry about dying on the second phase, but we'll see if he does a quick kill successfully anyway. Oh, got one hit from the spin instead of two, so he had to do 3 slashes instead of 1 to finish him off. Didn't get hurt by the boss at all. He realized what went wrong and recovered perfectly.
Yeah, that's a big part of this game. There's so many rooms, so many different screens. Knowing how every room can go and practicing the different variations is really key to improving. Oh,
Barnowl. Trying to powder a squirrel. Oh, I missed a couple times and gave up. Even more swag in this race. You can powder squirrels if you don't know. Before they turn into form, you can change them into slimes, which are the little onion-looking guys. They kind of look like a sack. I don't really know how to describe them. You only see them from transforming a squirrel or some enemy. There we go. We get to see one. Transformed into a slime and got hit by it anyway. But that's the only way that you can make squirrels killable, actually.
Missing so the super speed on the peg stand, if you will. Went back for it, though. Very hard strat to do, though. It's very hard to control Link in that little area and get those hammers aligned just right.
Pinkus has finished up Ganon's tower and is entering the Ganon fight. He's going to try to get enough hits on him early on to prevent him from doing either of his first 2 attack cycles more than once. Basically, one cycle the first 2 phases. We call it a 1+1. There's many ways to do it. Ganon has 4 positions he can warp to at the beginning, and there's different setups for each position. Dashing does the same damage as a slash, so if you can get a lot of dashes from inside the fire circle, that's actually one way to do it. Some players find it easier to dodge the fire bats after the second phase from inside the circle, and I am definitely in agreement on that. I do believe it is a lot easier. just because like the point of like leverage from which they fly is easier to manipulate. Not a lot of warps in the third phase. Coming into the fourth phase, definitely the hardest part to optimize because the variance is much more extreme than the other phases. First two phases, as I said, there's only 4 positions you can warp to, and you can learn pretty much any quick kill from those positions. With the fourth phase, you have to improvise a little bit. You have to be more familiar with the combination of factors and how to handle them correctly. You should be able to spin Ganon 3 times at each time you light the torch. If you miss any spins, it is a couple seconds lost.
Barnowl opting for the mirror after the roller room as well, which is very smart after the damage he took there from falling twice in the torch room.
I don't think he actually does the prize pack manipulation, so if he gets a fairy from these pokies, it would actually be lucky. And based on the drops he got from the first one, I know he's not going to get the fairy. Pinkus, down with Ganon now. Looks like it's going to be a 125, which is a very, very solid time, honestly. One of the best race times we've seen in the tournament so far.
Barnowl taking
like about
damage?
Yeah, about less than 40 seconds from his PB is very nice.
Very solid run from Pinkus.
Barnowl, of course, is the only player in this in these races with safety items, and that's going to come in handy a lot during Turtle Rock, and has come in handy during the last few dungeons as well, because he'll be able to use the powder to heal himself, or to create fairies to catch in a bottle, and he also has the bottle, of course, for safety if he unfortunately does die. RPG just now finishing up Ganon's tower. He's going to be entering the Ganon fight. He has a solid enough lead over Xanadu at this point that I think it's going to take something crazy for him to lose it at this point. But we have seen even very good players suffer multiple deaths on Ganon in this tournament so far.
Yeah, Ganon can do a lot of damage if he warps on top of you, so it can still go anyway from that, plus if you just get some bad luck with the bats as well. Xanadu getting into Mimics 2. Had a really good set of Mimic rooms.
RPG has taken 1 death. It got hit early in the fight and messed up the 1+1. And then after that point, you're kind of in improvisation. And he allowed himself to get hit 1 more time for the death. Most of Ganon's attacks do 4 damage. His trident or his fire attacks in the first and second phase. His body will do 8 damage. And the fire attacks in the third and fourth phase only do 2 hearts of damage. So those are the only things that it's okay to get hit by. But of course, you don't want to get hit by anything because you're losing time. I think he slashed the wrong way in the first phase there, so he messed up the 1+1 again. This time he's going to be a little bit safer, I think, cleaning up the first 2 phases. We'll see if that was enough damage. No, still has to finish the second phase. Ganon's warps are going to alternate. He has 4 at the top, and then he'll warp to one of 4 at the bottom, and he'll alternate between those. So when he warps back to the bottom, you can actually sort of set up one of the original quick kills that you would do if you hadn't missed the 1+1. But yeah, at this point, the risk of death is much smaller. The only real risk is small time losses from bad execution and, of course, falling, which would be as big a time loss as a death at this point.
Xanadu took a lot of damage in Gauntlet, but made it through it relatively simply. Looks like he's going to have at least a 3, maybe a 4 cycle Landmo 2.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. RPG spamming to get the torch glitch. When you use the lamp, it's perfectly okay to spam because you can use it very quickly just to make sure that the light happens during the small window of the torch glitch. And it also doesn't waste too much magic, so you don't have to worry about running out of magic for using the torch 100 times.
Yeah, the difference between the lamp and the fire rod is quite large, so if you're not sure you can get it with the fire rod, using the lamp instead is a very good idea. And makes it much easier if you don't know the timing.
Yeah, for sure. Xanadu's actually gotten down pretty low on hearts in Ganon's tower so far. There are a couple more he can pick up if he doesn't make any critical mistakes. He should get to the tower, but that is going to make the Ganon fight extra scary because any attack from him may be a death blow. And RPG does finish up Ganon on the second try. A very rolling deep race from RPG there. He is going to finish up with a sub 130 run, so it's not too bad. With a Ganon death, that's still really good. Lots of swagger in that race for sure.
Yeah, pretty solid run from RPG as well. Despite the death in Ganon, it was still a very good time. 130 even, it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Was his final time. I don't know if we ever saw a conclusion to the rupees, though.
You know, I think he just ended up with way more than he needed. He did end up skipping that one the one after Thieves Town to save some time, but some of the extras that he got were definitely not necessary. We might be getting an RPG for an interview. I'm not sure if we're going to get Pinkus. I don't know if he talks. I don't know if I've ever heard him speak before. He may either not have a microphone or not be confident in his English speaking ability. In the meantime, Xanadu is finishing up Ganon's tower. Got back up to 4 hearts, so he can survive some of Ganon's attacks. Although hopefully he won't get hit by
so far. 2 now. I think he still has 2 heads left on Aghanim, maybe only 1. Yep, 2. And he is down just as Barnowl's getting to open Ganon's tower.
RPG with Rolling Deep GIF on stream. I believe that's one of his alerts when he gets a host. That represents all the viewers rolling on in to his stream, I'm pretty sure.
Very appropriate.
I think he filmed that himself. I think that's some of his friends. I could totally see RPG rolling with that crew. Oh, Xanadu with an early death on Ganon. Honestly, that'll heal him up before he gets to try again without wasting any magic. So,
Hey, RPG.
Hey.
RPG in here. Dude, RPG,
Congrats.
man.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the run. It was pretty interesting. But
that was one of the most rolling deep runs I've ever seen in my life, dude. I'm not even kidding.
So I won the 300 rupee chess gamble, Ryan. So that was my optimal, and I had a feeling I was gonna win that. That's why I had to go for it. I just had some kind of feeling that it was gonna work there.
Yeah, that's optimal.
But the problem is I didn't route my rupees properly. I didn't so like I went for the 2 rupee tree grabs, but I didn't account for the fact that you have to spend 100 rupees to get the rupee tree, so I ended up like 100 rupees short of skipping the second chest in Thieves, which that's why I had so many rupees there.
Yeah, you were trying to skip both. That's what we were kind of thinking. We were wondering if you had some way to skip both chests. Or,
I mean, I guess if you don't get damaged in Aga's tower and you can pull out with the red rupees of the statue, I guess you could do that. But that's really, really hard to do. So
I thought there was a chance that we might actually see that. I did the math, and I think you would have needed 50 more from drops to be able to skip the second chest if you'd done that.
Yeah. But I'm really happy I won that chest rupee game. I did die to Ganon right at the end, which is unfortunate. But other than that, it was a really, really good run, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Lots of chest turns. I guess that's why you got...
That's why I got the Shrouds for the rupees. I got 2 out of 3 then. I wasn't sure where Xanadu was the whole time. I was kind of nervous, like, with all that, he might be coming up. But apparently he had some issues, but...
Yeah, actually, you were pretty close up through Thieves Town, but then because you could skip 1 rupee chest, that's where you really took the lead. Then you had some trouble after that.
Yeah, I could spin speed past the bomb hut, and that really saved a lot of, like, I don't know how much time that saves, but it definitely saves time over getting that. If you do win the chess rupee game, it actually is a bit faster, but it's what a 33% chance that you're gonna win.
Yeah, I think
so.
it's 1 in 3.
1 in 3. I did win that, which is nice. That was good to show that off. And other than that, Rolling Deep chess turn. I'll have to see what the commentary was all about. It's Blue Viper was holding it down.
So Xanadu, he turned his stream off. I'm not sure if he finished the race and then
let's see here. Yeah, he got a 134.20 in
okay.
SRL here, so
not too happy with his performance, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to get him in here to talk to us either.
Yeah, I don't blame him. He's a 128 player. He should have easily got a sub 130 and possibly beat me with that Ganon death, but without that Ganon death, I would have been pretty close to his PB. Actually, it looks like it's a 128.53. Because I think I lost a minute and like 10 seconds on that Ganon. It's pretty bad. Rolling Deep. I can't actually get these streams to work. I think I might have to restart my computer, but.
Barnowl's rolling in with Ether in the gauntlet. He did some Rolling Deep strats too. He was patterning some squirrels earlier.
Yeah, I can't get the damn streams up. Well, I think. But screw all the haters and non-believers that didn't think I was going to win that race, which there was a few of them.
I had you in my predictions, man.
Yeah, I know. Like only the people who knew about the Rolling Deep and the Rupee chess game gamble. But yeah, there's 35 people in this weekly. That's pretty. That's one of the biggest weeklies we've really had. I mean,
yeah, we actually didn't talk about the weekly too much, but yeah, both of these races took place during our weekly race every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we have a weekly A Link to the Past, no major glitches, no save and quit race. The tournament honestly has really helped with the activity of a lot of players in the scene, so we've been seeing a lot of big weeklies lately. It's also a convenient place for some people racing in the tournament to schedule their races, since it is up to the racers to schedule their own matches. And this one just happened to be a really big one.
It's huge. 35 is huge for this game. Usually we're like looking at like less than 10 people.
Yeah, they used to be big pretty frequently. Then we had a pretty long period where they were pretty small, but they've been growing again. Barnowl had a fall to Moldorm 2 here. That's
darn. That is very important.
He did do just fine the second time, though. So RPG, those guys on your stream right now, those are friends of yours, right? You just went out back and filmed that last week.
Yeah, did you know that Joe D'Amelio's on the left there? Got Zelda's on the far right. We got Overfiend's in the back, and that was just me in the front, you know?
Nice.
Just mobbing. Right.
It's perfectly looped, by the way, I gotta say. Can't even tell that it's a loop.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow, yeah, I thought it was way longer than it is.
Barnowl, got some good RNG in the Aghanim 2 fight there. He has the gold sword and silver arrows, so he should have no trouble closing out this run by defeating Ganon the proper way. All of us people doing it with cheats by not using the silver arrows.
Yeah, and Pinkus had a pretty ridiculous run as well, and he was right behind Zelda there.
Yeah, Pinkus had a very good run. Six hits per phase with the gold sword as opposed to 12 with the tempered sword. So it's a lot easier to get the 1+1 as we call it. He's probably going to do more hits because why not? Might as well. Just hit him as many times as he can.
Getting hit by one of the bats.
Again, yeah. 4 hearts from those.
He should be able to clean it up here with the gold sword, but...
Is that one warp, I think?
Yeah, it looked like one. Got the 2 hits on the first arrow.
Yeah, not worrying about the torch glitch when you have silver arrows. It's better to get those early hits in because you're pretty much guaranteed to get him in 2 or 3 hits, which should only be 1 torch cycle overall.
And there he is.
Yep. But I'll finishing it up in hour 40 minutes. Of course, that was a tough match, getting matched up against Pinkus, who has been on fire lately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he had a lot of trouble with blind. That was very unfortunate.
Yeah. That was really the only big thing he had trouble with. A couple of deaths to blind. He actually went back into the fight the first time without healing all the way. Went in hard. But yeah, I'm happy to see all the races finish. Not too far apart overall. Round of applause, probably from RPG.
Rollin deep.
RP clap.
Looks like Moon is just finishing up from the other race that we had going on that wasn't restreamed. I think Freaks finished a bit before him.
Oh yeah, there were actually 3 races.
Yeah, there was 3 races. Moons and Freaks was also racing.
Yeah, Moon with 141, so just a little bit behind Barnowl with Tempered Sword. Scrivo saying Freaks forfeit.
Okay. That's too bad.
Yeah, but it happens to us all sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very unfortunate though, but yeah.
I have a handful of forfeits and races in this game, for sure. Yeah, so let me just quickly check the schedule, see if there's more races coming on tonight or this afternoon.
WQ and Fruit Bats coming up pretty soon, don't we?
Oh, that's an exclusive race right there. Fruit Bats going up against WQ.
Oh yeah, that's actually going to be a really good one. That's actually, when is that scheduled? 5 o'clock, so that's just starting in about 15 minutes. WQ is another player who's been on fire lately.
Yeah, he got a 124 in this race, and he got scroll blocked, I believe, and he could have possibly got a really low 124 or 123 with.
Yeah, so I don't know who's going to be taking over the commentary for that one.
I'll be hanging around. I think Blunt Bunny was originally scheduled to join me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I might be around as well, but I mean, not if other people are already scheduled. I won't.
Yeah, I think
depends on what if Blunt Bunny would want me in here.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be a problem in this case.
Either.
Yeah, so I guess we can get Blunt Bunny in here. I don't think we're going to take down the stream. Is Fiesla around? Maybe he can... Yeah,
I just leave it. If it's 10 more minutes, I just leave it up.
I'm around. Yeah, the next one starts at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so we're just going to go.
All right, cool. Yes, everybody feel free to stick around. We got another one coming up. Fruit Bats, of course, is a very popular player. Everybody knows Fruit Bats, and WQ is a very, very strong player, especially recently. He's been playing very consistently at a very high level. That's definitely going to be a tough one for Fruit Bats, for sure.
Yeah, WQ would have to make a lot of mistakes, which honestly could happen. It really could, but it's going to have to make more than just one mistake.
Oh yeah.